Let's rock. It's Wednesday, November 16th, and I'm Uncle Timmy Bounce Back, the name dropper. We've got so much to talk about today. I'm with Kat, LJ, and today's guest is Nate Boyer. I want to thank 24 Karat Champagne. Look, it lights up. It's got flakes, athletic greens, and Nate is our first guest ever to pass on beer, vodka, tequila, any booze, but he's drinking an athletic greens before his 2-hour and 45-minute workout. And of course, we got to thank Chad and Rob for letting us do the show here at State Social House. So we have so name droppers, because we're going to get to it. I mean, first of all, making a movie is impossible, and I can't wait. It's impossible. In this day and age, it's more impossible than ever, especially with COVID. So in order to make it in the entertainment industry, you got to know somebody. Someone has to put their neck on the line for you. Somebody has to validate you. It's almost like real life blue check mark on Instagram, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like a sucker for it all the time. Like, she laughs. She said we should just name the show Name Drop, because all you do is name drop 30 people that you know. But it does advance you. It doesn't answer you. But before we get to the movie, we'll start with, you were in the military service, right?
Yeah.
And was after football or before football?
Before football, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up in the San Francisco Bay, in a town called El Cerrito. Most of my life there. I mean, I've lived in a lot of different places, a few different places in the Bay as well, but El Cerrito, which is right between Berkeley and Richmond. So I grew up big 49ers fan.
Right on.
My teams were Niners, Giants, Warriors, Cal, back
Title Town.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about Cal, but yeah, and so I played soccer first, and then I played Little League, and then I played basketball. I played all these other sports, and I never played football growing up. So it was like a huge regret of mine that I didn't play. And it wasn't something that happened right away after high school, obviously. I moved down to San Diego, worked on a fishing boat for a while, moved up here with an interest in film and TV, took some acting classes, thought about film school. Then 9/11 happened when I was 20. Didn't join the military right away either. I'm kind of a late bloomer. I'm like slow to commit to something, but once I do, I'm all in,
Got it.
Eventually joined the military, became a Green Beret, was in for total of about 10 years. First half of it on active duty, the second half in the Texas National Guard. While I went to UT, walked onto the football team, playing for the first time then, and then found myself long snapping as a way to get on the field, because I was having trouble getting on I walked on as a safety and just making that, making that jump.
To join a football team if you've never played football
before? Like I was just alluding to, I just regretted not doing it when I was young. It was my favorite sport. I mean, I grew up with the Niners dynasty of Montana, Rice, Roger Craig, Ronnie Lott. They were the best. I mean, They won 5 Super Bowl. The first one was the year I was born, and then they won 4 more that I remember. After that, in my, from when I was about, 4 years old till the last one, I was probably 12 or so when they won. And so that was just my memory of greatness, because back then the Warriors weren't very good. The Giants were okay, but it was football.
Oh yeah. Didn't they win 3 in a row at one point?
I think they won. No, they won. They might've won. They definitely won back to back, I think. Yeah. And they might've won 3 out of 4 years. I don't know exactly. I don't want to screw that up, but they had a good run.
Yeah. Was it the Bill Walsh offense? Like, did he create that slow?
It was Walsh and then Seifert. Yeah, George Seifert. But it was a West Coast offense, as they called it.
We're dating ourselves, man. Like Tecmo Bowl.
That's all right.
Not John Madden football. We're talking Tecmo Bowl, Chad.
Hey, they won.
They won.
That team, those guys are 5-0. They've been to 2 more since then, in recent years, and lost in the Super Bowl, but they got back. So we're, I'm happy with where the Niners are at now. They're competing again, because after Steve Young, we sucked for about 15 years.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, we got so much to talk about. Well, Kaepernick did take you to the Super Bowl.
He did.
We're going to get back. We're going to tie it all in. So I have to ask you, so you're a safety. Yeah. Do you learn long snapping because you were smart enough to know that if I can master this position, I can harness a slot on the team? Or did his coach come up to you and say, hey, man, you got a good work ethic. We want to keep you here. Can you long snap?
No, the way it happened, actually, it was first pitched to me before I even walked on by somebody that was helping train me
Okay.
for that opportunity. So I was stationed in Colorado Springs with 10 Special Forces Group, and right next to the base is the Olympic Training Center. And so we had the opportunity to train at this place called National Strength and Conditioning Association, the NSCA. Incredible facilities, and a lot of former collegiate strength coaches were there. I went in there after I came back from Iraq in early 2009, and I still had, almost a year left on my contract in the military. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to try and do this football thing, I'm going to start training now. I'm going to start training here with these coaches. And, I was starting to Olympic lift and putting on some weight, learning how to backpedal and run routes and do all the football stuff that, with my size, I was like, I'm either going to be a DB or a receiver. I'm not the size to be anything else, but I'm not particularly fast as compared to those guys.
Yeah.
And so I remember a coach being like, have you thought about long snapping? And in my mind, I'm like, no, what are you talking about? I'm going to go, play this other position. So, and I was like, I'm not big enough. And he's like, in college, you don't really have to be that big to long snap. In the NFL, you do have to be bigger, but different rules. You should think about it. And I just didn't until my sophomore year in college. And then I was like, It's like, you know what? He was right all along. It turns out I can't keep up with these freak athletes.
Yeah.
So I started long snapping out of just once I was on the team, I was glad to be on the team. I was grateful, but being on the scout team is only so much fun, getting run over.
Oh yeah.
Every day, over
Scout
and over.
team's like the practice squad, right?
Exactly. And we got to dress out for home games, and something really cool I got to do for all the home games was lead the team out of the tunnel.
Oh yeah.
With the American flag and like this whole thing, but I wasn't playing.
But how many people? That stadium is insane, right?
100. Back then it was 101,000. It's bigger now.
Come on, that alone is
it's
a
great.
massive privilege.
It is. Oh, it was. I'm so grateful and honored to be a part of that and do that. But I still wanted to play. I was like, I want to get on the field. That's why
McConaughey was loving you, dude. McConaughey, he was hooking horns, dude. He was loving you. He's like, man, no. Did long snapping come easy to you? Did you have to put a lot of work into it? You're like, I kind of got this thing down.
Definitely not easy. But I will say that learning the long snap of football to me was in some ways similar to learning to shoot a pistol, because I hadn't really shot guns before I joined the military. I'd done it a little bit, My dad grew up in Southern Oregon. He likes to hunt, and so I'd done it a few times, but didn't have that experience. I don't know if I'd ever shot a handgun. But from the grip to the stance to the trigger squeeze to the front sight picture when you're presenting the weapon out and like getting your target, all those little pieces of focus and like doing one little piece of that puzzle at a time and perfecting that till you move on to the next and then putting it all together, kind of like long snapping. And it's the same every time in the sense of like the world around you is different. It's a different distance of the snap sometimes. Obviously it's a different time in the game, different situation, but like it's a closed skill, like a free throw in the sense that it should be the same every time. And if you can master that movement, you don't have to be a great athlete.
So it's a lot of little things.
Yeah, a lot of little things.
And you have to be mechanically sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you ever blow a snap?
I didn't. I probably had close to 500 snaps in my career and never had a bad snap.
It's a very interesting thing because you see kickers who miss field goals that get slaughtered. If you blow a fucking long snap, you're fucking done. You're done.
Yeah.
And then here's the other funny thing. Not only have to snap the ball, there's a dude that wants to fucking kill you in the punter.
Yeah.
So it's like
you gotta block. You gotta immediately transition from, follow through to like block. Get in the way pretty much. But yeah, it was. I definitely had plenty of snaps that weren't perfect. Let's say that. So I would consider those bad, but I never bounced one back or threw it over the punter's head or caused a kick was never blocked because of my snap. And so I'm very proud of that.
Okay.
But I always had I had athletic punters that made some good catches back there.
Oh yeah.
Saved me, bailed me out.
I like it.
A holder that had it together enough to like get those laces out, so
laces out. What is it? Ace Ventura.
Exactly. You build the rapport with those guys, including the guys next to you that have to help you block that are 300 pounds. And they care enough about you to want to help out. Like that's what you need to do.
Did that translate into the NFL too? You were a long snapper in the NFL?
Yeah, briefly. I only played in one game. I just to get that shot was very fortunate. I was 34 years old. I was heavier than I am now, but I obviously wasn't taller. So I'm not that big. And in the NFL, the rules are different in the sense of in college, you're a free releaser. So you can snap it. You don't have to wait for the ball to be kicked. You can just be a gunner, run down, try to cause a fair catch or make a tackle. In the NFL, you can't cross the line of scrimmage until it's punted. So you have to block.
I did not know
it's
that.
just a different rule. There's no shield. Like in college, I have a 3-man shield. So like you snap it between the shield, and then those 3 guys are 7 yards behind the ball. They can block any guys coming up to block the punt. And in the NFL, you can only have 1 guy back there.
I can't wait to watch Thursday Night Football.
It's different.
That actually makes sense to me. I'm going to look for
So the
that.
snaps have to be faster, more accurate, and beyond that, those long snapper has blocking responsibilities that they don't necessarily have in college.
Okay, you got to tell us then what in your memory was like your best long snap, game changer, fucking you sacked somebody or something, like whatever it is.
I only had 1 solo tackle. We caused a lot of fair catches, A, B, like I said, I'm not a great athlete. But also it was it was like you've got some incredible gunners on your team, and I think we gave up in my 3 years starting at Texas. We did give up just one punt return touchdown against West Virginia. I don't know if you remember. What was their guy? He played for the Rams for a bit, I think. Not Stedman Bailey, the other guy. It's gonna drive me insane because
we can Google it.
Their former head coach at West Virginia, Dana Holgerson, is my guy, and he'll kill me for not knowing that. But anyway. We played UCLA actually in Cowboy Stadium, and I tackled I got
the
my
new
first
Cowboy
solo
Stadium
tackle there. Yeah, the new one.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I've never been. I heard it's insane.
No, not a bowl game, just a regular season game. It was just, they do neutral site games sometimes when it's like a bigger one with its out of conference rival, or not even a rival, but an out of conference game. So UCLA came out and we played there and we lost, but I did make a solo tackle.
All right,
punt.
so we've got all this happening.
Yeah.
D1. Your Seattle Seahawks. Now you're coming back here for acting? Well, we go in the military, which I'll get to because I want to kind of incorporate that, like why the Army, why the Green Beret. I love the fact that the Marines and the Army kind of fuck around with the Air Force, and like I got to know if all that shit's real. Fuck it, I just have to say it. Thank you for your service. I fucking loved it. Because I say it and I'm like, I want to stop saying it. I'm good.
It's not offensive if it's genuine. You know what I mean? And it's never offensive. It's just, I think sometimes it feels as vets that people sometimes, not always, just say it out of obligation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Instead of actually, and you can tell the difference. Like
you gotta watch the movie to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I loved it.
You do.
I go, I'm that fucking guy. Remember the Marines from Camp Pendleton? I'm like, thank you for your service. Let's do fucking shots. They're like, fucking Uncle Tim. I'm like, now, you know what I'm going to say from now on?
Well, they appreciate the shots. That's the best way to thank them.
My bar bill was $1,000. It was bonkers. I mean, but it was like, those 6 guys are 21, 22. They got a weekend off. They're down in San Diego. They're like, fuck it, we're going up to LA. The one dude recognized me from the podcast. He's like, I'm known as Timmy Bounce Back through Bob Menery, and I'm known as Uncle Tim through Steve Will Do It, which is like young YouTubers and stuff. So they're like, let me get a picture, man. I'm like, all right.
I've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
In my entire
And they were great kids, and they are like, it was super tight. It was
they were
the
there
family.
Saturday too.
Yeah, and then like I like the busting of the balls. Like Army's dumb, Marine Corps tough, Air Force is weak. I know it's all goofing around.
Marine Corps is filthy. They're the dirtiest. They're the dumbest. They don't have to take the ASVAB. Don't argue with me. It's true.
So why did you pick Army? I mean, when you think in military, like what made you go?
I wanted to be a Green Beret, and that's in the Army.
Right.
But
that's Special Forces.
That's Special Forces. Yeah, I read about I found out what their motto is. De oppresso liber is Latin for to free the oppressed. And it just was a really cool motto. Also, their mission, it's unconventional warfare. You go to Iraq and Afghanistan like I did, you're training, living with often, and fighting alongside Iraqi and Afghan special operations soldiers, which they don't have the same resources as us, obviously. They don't have the same training, the education. There's all these limiting factors, and they don't have the resources. But most of those people really care about their country. They were trying to do what we were trying to do, which is, bring them into the 21st century. And, honestly, like
get rid of the wrist rockets, the bow and arrows, and get a gun. I'm kidding.
No, but I mean, like, more on the democracy side of things, and actual equality and freedoms and all these things that we are fighting for. And granted, like America's not perfect. Like we're a mess in our own right. But when you put some perspective there and look at what we have and the opportunities that we have and how a lot of people in places like that look up to us, I just wanted to make sure when I was deploying that I was alongside those people. I'd done a little bit of relief work in the Darfur prior to that. And I was just very motivated to know that the difference I was at least trying to make I'd be able to see it firsthand and like, be able to work alongside those people and make sure it's not just we're coming here just doing this thing and then you don't really see if people are on board or not.
When you
It's complicated.
I have a buddy that was in the Marine Corps. He's a colonel at the Pentagon. His name is Colonel Steve Grzinski, and I think he spent 16 years overseas in the Middle East. But the one thing when he came back, he couldn't believe how soft Americans are. Like his daughter is complaining about shit. Like he's like, I was shitting in sand for 16 fucking years. And you want to ride to the movies and you're going crazy on your mom. I mean, he kids about it now, but I mean, it did bother him a little bit. It took him a minute to adjust. Plus he misses his kids, so he comes back. His kids are adults now. He misses all that kind of stuff. I mean, you get to come back a little bit, but that's what I kind of identified, and we'll get to all that. But I want to also talk about.
Well, no, I mean it's interesting just because like I was that person too before I went over there, and before I deployed, and then I come back. And it's easy to get comfortable again because it is nice here, and so like I get softer every day. I'm not over there. It's just the reality.
That's it, dude. He was crazy. I love him to death, but you said Marines are filthy. My brother-in-law.
They know they are.
We're playing darts. We're in like West Wildwood, and I am beating the shit out of the colonel in darts, and I can talk massive shit. And I'm like, Colonel, what the fuck, dude? Can you hit the side of a fucking barn? And he's like, one more word out of you. And I'm like, what are you going to do? And he throws a fucking dart through my foot. It's the only dart he hit all fucking day. And my brother-in-law is like, holy shit. And he's like, I told you. I go, what, you been fucking soft playing me all day? It's unreal. I was like, I'm like, all right, I'm cool. I surrender. I'm going to go take a long walk on the beach.
That's great.
Oh, unreal, Colonel. So I saw that you were in I Love the Mayans.
Oh yeah.
And Mayans is who is the creator? He did Sons of Anarchy too.
Kurt Sutter.
Yeah.
Wait, what year did you come to LA?
2016. Well, I came here in 2015 after I graduated and met Jay at Unbreakable, started training, and then Jay helped train me, also get my agent, and that opportunity in Seattle. A lot
Glazer's
of that
the best,
was,
isn't he?
oh, he's the best. Yeah, he really is. So I came here then I went to Seattle, and then I came back here, I guess end of 2015. But so really 2016 is when I started, like, got back into acting classes.
You were getting auditions and stuff like that? I'm curious, who'd you study with classes? Do you want to say? I mean, I don't want to.
Well, so I had a year of GI Bill left. And I took classes at the Strasberg Institute down on Santa Monica and right near Fairfax, you know. So I took classes there, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much that's where I took classes. Now over the last few years, developed a good relationship with a guy named Anthony Gilardi. He's
like
got
a professional, like
a
coach.
Yeah, he's got a studio down on Melrose. He's amazing. He's worked with a lot of veterans and just a lot of. His classes are super diverse. Like I noticed some other classes, it's like, it's a bunch of white girls and white guys, sitting around, and that's all good. But it's like, I don't know. I wanted to kind of mix it up with different groups. And then he was like, Nate, let's do something with vets and people that have never had a chance to, or thought that they would never use the arts to kind of get some of that stuff out. So anyway,
and how barbaric is auditioning? It's the worst.
Dude, it's the worst. I hate it.
I hate it. Anyone that says they like it, they're full of shit. I mean, when you crush it and you come out and you delivered and everyone's heads are down, but like when you're in those offices, you can hear everyone's fucking auditions.
Dude, it's like what I mean. That's never going to happen again. By the way. You know what I mean?
Tell me about it, dude. I haven't booked the job.
No, I'm saying in-person auditions.
But he hates.
I hate self-tapes, dude. I have a great call. The
time. I think it's a time. What I can't
money.
stand is the time consuming. Like it takes, and if especially if you're paying for stuff too. But I usually just do it on my phone with a friend, But still, it's like to learn the material, to do it, and then there's 100 other people that are putting in a tape too, and. You put in all this time and energy and effort, and most of the time you never hear back. So I just don't. I don't know. I haven't auditioned for anything in like
Well, listen,
over a year.
You're going to set me on fire right now. So, first of all, we're fucking talent, dude. I've been in a lot of TV shows, a bazillion commercials, and movies. Our job is to project a character. That's our job.
Right.
We're fucking talent. Now you want me to do sound, lighting. I have no natural light. There's a dog barking. So now I have to. You're putting all this other pressure on me, right? Then any fucking guy in the world can do it. So now they're getting 180,000 submissions when before you had an agent, and you knew, like, if you had an agent, that was a big deal. You were getting into rooms. Then my final thought on this: when I'm in the room, I know I'm being seen. Like, I know that I'm being seen, for better or for worse. And sometimes I would fucking shit the bed and still book it because it was different. Whatever. Now I do them. I get nothing. NCIS pinned me or gave me a call back, but I was in Philly at the World Series. I had like 6 beers and I was like, stick them up. And they're like, I'm not getting this fucking job. Book a flight, book a job.
Yep.
But I got really upset this year, and I have to just accept what you said. It's never going back to in-person auditions. And next year I just have to accept it. And I just have to move forward because that's just the way it is. The game has changed. Dude, I used to love cleaning up my look, getting in my car, playing some tunes, or if it was a lot, like listening to on Bluetooth, you're running your lines, getting in there, you see all the same guys, you get some butterflies a little bit. You go in there and you do your dance. And if you crush it, you're like, it's a high. I mean, sometimes you fuck it up and you're driving home reciting the lines like, you fucking asshole. Fucking asshole.
Do you experience this, Nate?
No, not at all.
You know it's true. You know it's true. You get mad at yourself. You're like, fuck, dude, I blew a fucking line. I digress. All right, so forget about the auditioning. So making a fucking...
Tim's never auditioning again.
I fucking hate it. I mean, I had an in-person audition. You got me fired up here, for Hilton. And, commercials, you make a lot of money. I can retire at 15 and I get a pension, like a SAG-AFTRA guild. Like most Hollywood actors, even the young guys I see, they're like, I don't want retirement. I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm proud. I'm a real life Hollywood actor that's got health insurance and I'm going to collect retirement. Like, that's a victory for me, right? The young bucks are like, fuck that, I'm going to be a star. Whatever. I'm going to be a fucking dad on a Hilton commercial that I hope runs 2 cycles. So it was an in-person audition. I get the call back. I feel good on the call back, and I get pinned. So I'm like thinking I got it, but that was Thursday. It's on 7. I should have heard. And the other thing that sucks is they don't tell you you don't have it.
No,
you
just never hear again.
You never hear again. That's it. It's like, you suck. See you later.
Even through your agent, I mean, that's their thing. They never call with bad news.
Never. Even if you email them, they're like, as far as I know, you're still on hold.
No.
Yeah.
As far as I know. But at any rate, let's talk about making movies, because everyone I know that have made movies, is this your first one?
First one I directed, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
They say it's like it consumes your
What
life.
did you do before? Produce?
I had produced something
Okay.
before, yeah. But yeah, it does consume your life.
And how many years did it take?
2.
2 years.
I mean, if you count the first draft of the first script, I guess 4. If you count that.
And
How
this was
many
in the
times-
pandemic too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now watch this. From the first draft to the final draft, how many reversions?
So, have you ever heard this story about Good Will Hunting, by the way?
Yeah.
Which one?
Go ahead.
The first draft of Good Will Hunting, Will goes to space.
No way.
Oh yeah, it's a very different movie than what they came up with. But I think
did not know that.
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck had some really good, smart friends in the industry, because they were already working actors. Working
Who was
a
the
bunch.
producer? Christopher. It was another.
I know Gus Van Sant directed. I don't remember, but I know Kevin Smith was a part of this process.
Okay.
Because it's a Miramax movie. I don't know if he has a producing credit on it, but from the story I heard was that Kevin had been one of these people that read it and was like, okay, there's some good stuff in here. And they're like, what's most interesting to me is the relationship between the therapist and Will. If that is the backbone of your story, I think you're in a good place.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just
The Star Wars part, I'm not buying it.
exactly.
You're like, how high were you?
It's just a very different, and that's kind of how MVP not at that level, but like our first draft. It's funny because it's based on the genesis of an organization, a charity called Merging Vets and Players. We bring together combat vets, former professional athletes, and we help them find purpose and identity when they lose a uniform, right? And how it started was Jay Glazer and I back in 2015, late 2015, after I got cut from Seattle. He was like, hey, I know where you're at right now. I know you're thinking about going back into the military, but what you need to do, what you should do, is help the people that are in your situation right now. Because there's veterans that feel that way. There's athletes that feel that way, that have lost the locker room, lost that uniform, and feel sort of lost, to lack of a better word. And so I went down to this, the next week, I was invited to come down to this veterans homeless shelter that's on Sunset Boulevard. It's the one we shoot at in the movie. It's a real location.
Oh, is the
It's a
Legion
place.
real too?
The Legion is real too. Yeah.
Ooh,
Can I go to the Legion?
Yeah, that looks
I'll take you.
I do want to go to
All right,
I was
all right.
like, that was the only bar. I'm like, what the fuck? Is that real?
It's
I'm in
epic,
every
dude.
bar in
Yeah.
like Southern California. I'm like,
Yeah.
have I driven by that?
That's on Highland right next to the Hollywood Bowl.
Get out.
Yeah. It's this historic building. It's really cool.
That was the one that got past me.
Yeah. So that's the one. That's the only one.
yeah, he's like, Poppy.
So I went down to that shelter. It's called the Hollywood Veterans Center. It's unfortunately closed now. COVID closed it down. They'd lost funding and all that. But I went there, met some of these vets, and invited them up to the gym. They came up, and then Jay brought people like Tony Gonzalez and Randy Couture into the gym, and we started training together, and then just kind of bullshitting afterwards, and very organic conversation came from that. And a lot of these guys were sharing stuff they hadn't before, including some of the athletes, and that's how MVP started. So the movie's about how that all started. Well, the original draft, I co-wrote it with a buddy of mine who's a veteran who fought in the UK military, and he writes novels and like military memoirs and stuff like that. And he was trying to make something. We were trying to make something that was a little more exciting, because we thought, our story's not enough. We need to there needs to be more action and all that. So we wrote this, the story that's part of it, this veteran and athlete meeting each other and kind of helping each other through stuff. But then it turns into, there's a bit of a manhunt around town, and like there's drugs involved and all this stuff. Same notes from like people, they're reading it. They're like, just tell the MVP story. Like, what are you doing? You don't need this.
We're getting the uniforms back on Sunset.
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting Chad. We know what Chad's hiding out in the dome.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It became this, and they were right. And it's just, we were just trying to, it's funny because it's a great message, I think, for anybody, and any story is like knowing that you are enough. Your story is enough. You're interesting enough.
Yeah.
It's a great lesson for an actor, you don't need to add all this stuff. Just be yourself. But same with the story. It was like, people were like, no. What's interesting is MVP. I don't care about this other stuff. I just want to I want to know about MVP. And then from there, we were like, all right, well then if we're going to do that, let's make it super authentic, where every vet you see on screen is played by an actual veteran, which is true.
Wow.
Every single one, even the dad from the Wonder Years,
Blew me away.
Vietnam veteran. Yeah. So every single one is a vet. And then all those athletes, most of them are playing themselves. Some of those actors playing athletes are not
was
former
great on
athletes.
camera.
He's great.
The camera loves that guy.
Yeah. But that's his real story he's telling, like he's on there. There's a scripted, version of that, but he memorized it. He's such a professional. He showed up and he was like, he had it word for word. And I'm like, dude, just tell your story. Don't worry about the script.
It's the best way.
Because, and he's,
I love that you said that.
And he's obviously very interesting, and he is more than enough. You know what I mean? Like you said, I mean, he's camera loves him, but also he's got that voice and that gravitas. And then when he is speaking from a genuine place, people are like, wow, like this guy who has it all, and he, or seemingly, is still vulnerable, still felt this feeling of emptiness, and I've lost my greatness and I've peaked, and that's a scary thing for someone like that, even with all the doors that are open. And he knew the day he retired he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Everybody knew that, but
it's
still
finding your purpose, your new purpose. It's tough because think about it. Like, how long were you in the service for again? 10 years.
Yeah.
And then these football players, like athletes, if they're great, have been an athlete since they were like 10.
Yeah.
Or
like 6.
You sacrifice everything.
And that's all they want to do. That's that's it.
And then you retire at such a young age.
Yeah.
Where you're like, what? I have the rest of my life.
The average NFL career is 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, so you're 25, 26 years old, and you're never going to play again. And you're like, I don't know anything else. I didn't have a plan B, because if I had a plan B, I wouldn't have put all my energy into plan A, and I wouldn't have made it to as far as I got.
All right, I got so many things. First, we lost a great comedian by the name of Bob Saget. I got here in '99. Everyone who I've ever met in Los Angeles has met Bob Saget. Jay Glazer is the new Bob Saget. There's not one person in Southern California that has not met Jay Glazer. Am I right or wrong? Everyone has a story. Like, oh, I met that guy. Oh, I saw him at this thing at the dinner thing. I trained out at his gym. Like, you got to bust his balls.
Yeah,
dude,
that's true.
Everybody knows that guy. Then back to your story, and I was telling Kat this morning. MVP is a message, you know, and a lot of times if you're just telling that message, you can kind of like beat it over our heads, and it's like, okay, I get it. But this was done so eloquently that the message came through effortlessly through the story, and that was what I was the most impressed by. And I don't know who I give the credit to. Like if you wrote it, it was really, really a great movie. I also have to ask you this, if you don't mind telling me, what was the budget? Because I think because I'm telling you, it looks a little. Yeah. I said you had to have at least $5 million. Mm-hmm. Am I out of my? Because dude, it looked good. The movie looks good.
I don't know if we're supposed to say.
You know, I don't have to say it.
Yeah, but it's.
You could say more or less.
It's less than 10% of that.
Get out of Dodge, dude. No way. Yeah. That's unreal.
And I'll tell you, like when you talked about where to get the credit, like first of all, I'm not just saying this as an athlete on a press conference saying the right things. Genuinely, the stories, the script wrote itself. Like these people, it's their real stories. We were transcribing more than writing. You know, honestly, like it was like, all right. But then beyond that, all these people from the Tony Gonzalez and Randy Couture's and Strahan and Howie and the NFL giving us the shield, letting us shoot at the network, all that stuff. They just were touched by the story of MVP and the organization. They were like, whatever you need. COVID helped us, like the pandemic helped us. And I'm not saying like I wish for another one of those, because it was a pain in the ass for a lot of people and a lot of people died, and that sucks.
Right.
But something that people in the military often do when, we run towards the fire, and when there is obstacles, they become opportunities for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could have spoken like a true Green Beret.
It's true.
I put 35 pounds on him. My drinking went to another stratosphere. He produced the movie, acted, and fucking directed in it. Moving on.
No, but I mean, no, not moving on. Because honestly, like that's how it happened. I mean, here comes the big name drop, but Stallone put his name on it because of MVP. He'd been to one of our huddles. He'd seen it firsthand. He met the vets, he met the athletes involved and heard their stories. And he was like, whatever I can do to help. He's like, look, I don't have a lot of time, and I got a lot going on, but I believe in this. I believe in you and what you guys are putting together. And so he, lent his name, and that goes a long way.
Oh, dude, I'm from Philly. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, dude, we had Joe Frazier, but we have a statue of Rocky.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. You know who one of my good friends is, by the way, is Vince Papali. I don't know if you've ever met Vince.
The best, man.
Yeah.
He made the team.
You got to have him on the show at some point.
Tell him to come on.
Vince is great.
Yeah, he's an electric personality too. Everyone loves him. He's a fucking hero.
He's the best.
Didn't he ran one punt back against the Giants, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, I'll have to. I know he was on. I know he had a touchdown, at least a touchdown, when he was on kickoff team.
Yeah.
And the guy muffed it, and he picked it up and ran in. Yeah, it's pretty cool. but yeah, I mean, like that, with everything being shut down, all these people wanting to work, because a lot of those other actors, not Stallone level names, but you'll see him in a lot of stuff. You recognize a lot of those people.
Real life Hollywood actors.
And they were like,
I recognized what's his name? Will Phillips?
Oh yeah, Mo McRae is the actor's name. Yeah.
His wife I've seen in stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously the Wonder Years, but there's another and Rich Eisen.
Yeah, that's Christina Ochoa. Yeah. Christina Ochoa is in she's in Animal Kingdom right now. She's been in a ton of things. I mean, she's in a lot.
Animal Kingdom.
Him, her, Mo, is in a ton of stuff. He just directed his first film, actually, that's out right now.
Dude, he had good chemistry.
They were great.
All the actors had really, really good chemistry. But back to like MVP, and I can only speak for guys, but like all dudes love to bro out, even on like the lowest level. Like if you three and I sit here and we talk about the chips. Yeah, I know. But when you get it to a level where you're in the military or you're a professional athlete and you're at that level of broing it out where there's sacrifice and just it's a real message. How do you downshift from that? You are on for decades at the highest level, eating right, keeping your body right, just I'll drink to that. So, like, what guy can't identify to this movie? And it was the simplest thing. You go work out, you pump up your endorphins. Who doesn't love gym mentality? I mean, I box. I love my gym. I'm the worst boxer in the world, but I love everybody there. It's a vibe. You know, I'm walking up hungover, but when I'm done, the endorphins, you tell a couple jokes, you feel good. So the message is like, yeah. It's an easy story to tell. Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, it really is an easy story to tell once we believed that it was enough. You know, once we had enough people telling us, dude, it's stories there. Like, we want to see MVP. We want to see the first huddle, one of the first huddles, like what that was like. And it's hard to recreate it because it feels like a documentary. The more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, I mean, that's a documentary. And they're like, no, but you can do this. You should treat it like a documentary and try to make it as raw as possible. My favorite movie is The Wrestler, right? Yeah. And so that was one of my guiding lights with this because The Wrestler, I feel like super raw.
With Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It feels very real. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just the way it's shot, the way, you know. So that, and then like, but also I love Friday Night Lights. You know what I mean? Same kind of thing. The film, not the TV show. No offense. I know a lot of people love the TV show, but they're very different. But the movie, it feels very real. And, you know, and for me, I connected to that, and I was like, this, all these scenes of these characters, that's real. And there hasn't been a ton from the veteran side of things that are real. There's a lot of more war movies, you know, like Saving Private Ryan's incredible.
Oh, I know.
I was not, obviously, none of us were around in World War II, but I mean that you can just feel it. You connect with these people, even though they're, you know, it's 80 years ago. It feels like that I could have a conversation with this person today, and we'd have everything in common. You know what I mean?
But it's all battle, not civilian.
Yeah, exactly. It's not out
there. Dude, there were so many things from an uninformed civilian novice person that doesn't know anything about war or military. I mean, my dad served in Korea. He was a Marine. He's 93. His hate is what keeps him alive. He hates himself and he hates everybody else, and he will never die. I love him. Punches slot machines, curses at fucking old ladies. You win, you all back and win. When you said, plus the brotherhood between you and Mo, I bought it. I thought, I mean, I love the fact that he was pissy drunk. We've all been there. And I love the fact that you did the right thing and then you didn't take his, all that shit.
Don't give away the whole movie. What are you doing?
No, wait, I just give you a little teaser.
It's all right.
I just give you a little, but when he said, like, did you ever kill anybody? And your response was, you shouldn't say that. Is that a real unwritten law? Like, don't ask anybody about war. Like, it's
not necessarily about war, but that one specifically triggers some people. And it's like, I've been asked that before, and it honestly doesn't trigger me, but I know other people, it bothers them. And it's just, it's just something like, more than that, the question's been like, how many people? It's like as if body count should be like a badge of honor or something, where it's like, the goal is not to go over there and kill as many people as you can. That's honestly not the goal. Like, that's not what we're supposed to be doing there. Situations arise, and obviously there's moments where you have to do that. It's war. Yeah. But that's just a tough one for some people. And so there was kind of meant to be a little bit of a lesson in there. Like, don't ask that question.
That's a really good point, though, because you always just think like,
I learned the lesson.
War.
Yeah. Those lessons to that movie. I'm like, I'm watching this movie. I'm like, well, that's strike one on me. And I'm like, oh, strike two again.
I mean, the whole goal was just to make every civilian feel like a piece of shit and know that
that's you educated. I have to tell you this story because, again, there's a lot of military. My sister's husband, Bob's dad, Speedy Sinnott, fought in World War II, and he was a tank operator. And his name was Speedy because he was a runner, But when I met him, we all, my family's so nuts. We went on like a bus tour of Ireland. Like we wanted to see where my mom's mom was born. So we're in Killarney, and all I did, I was like 21. I was just annihilated from the minute I woke up to the minute I went to bed. I'm like farting on the bus, just a disgusting. Pissing myself, just the worst human, just hitting on Linda O'Leary. Like, I could tell you, the Irish and English girls don't like me. Canadian women do. Girls from the South dig me. But I struck out in Ireland. So we go see, what is it called? What's the famous thing in Killarney? You kiss it?
The Blarney Stone?
The Blarney Stone. So we're in Killarney, but there's all these like sales on sweaters. So the women are going nuts. My cousins, my sister, my mom, and I see Speedster. He's got a cane, you know. I go, Speedster, what's going on? What are you doing? Which he was one of the most observant guys I'd ever met in my life, by the way. He would just like notice shit. I'm like he was like Jason Bourne before Jason Bourne. So I go, let's go get a beer. And he's like, no, I'll wait here for the ladies. I go, dude, we're in the motherland, man. Let's just go to a pub. Come in the pub with me. Sit down. So he sits down, and I go, we'll have 2 Guinness. And he goes, I don't drink beer. And I go, I go, what do you drink? He goes, whiskey. I'm like, dude, we're in Ireland. We're going to have Guinness.
What? Irish whiskey?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Sure. I go, we'll do the whiskey too. So they bring over the Guinness and the whiskey, and he sips the beer, and he goes, man, that is really good beer. Like, that's better than American beer. So he has 2 Guinness. I have 2 Guinness. His son, Bobby, comes up and goes, Dad, what the fuck are you doing? And he goes, I'm having a beer. He goes, me and the brothers have been trying to get you to drink beer for 25 years. He goes, yeah, but this is good beer, not that American bullshit. I became a legend in the Sinnott family for getting their dad to drink. But as we're talking, I go, what'd you do in World War II? And this is coming from just sheer dumb youth, ignorance. And he goes, I was a tank operator. And of course I go, did you see any action? He goes, one time in Germany, we ran over a keg of beer, coincidentally, and it was the most sour beer ever, but all me and the guys drank it. And that's the most action I've ever seen. Speedster and I were friends till he died. After he died, I found out that his tank got hit and everyone died besides him. And that's why his leg was damaged and he wasn't skinny. But he never told me that.
Wow.
And it fucking crushed me at the funeral because I don't know what I would have said to him. He was probably protecting me because I was so young. And then my soccer coach, Mr. Maloney, was on the cover of Time magazine as like the greatest sniper of Vietnam, you know, and I'm cursing at him at like in high school, telling him I don't want to do fucking laps. I mean, I was maybe the biggest asshole on planet Earth for a long time. I didn't find myself until I was 28. 28 is when I began to go, you're kind of an asshole. You got to turn this around.
It's not too late.
The movie improved me, man. I'm more informed. I am more informed.
I appreciate it, man. No, that's cool. That's great to hear those stories too. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty common. I think across all branches, across all generations. And that's something we try to encourage a lot of these people to do, is to tell their story. And of course, like, you don't have to tell everything. You don't have to go to that deep, dark place if you don't want to. But if you don't, sometimes your story's going to die with you. You know what I mean? And no one's going to know what you did, what you sacrificed. And it's not even about you. It's about the people that you fought alongside. The other men, for instance, in that tank that didn't make it back. Like, that's why to us, it is important to like share that and tell that story. And obviously he did with somebody, just not you, you know.
Well, you got that right.
What was it like putting
Nate, your instincts are good. We got a real Green Beret over here.
What was it like putting your director hat on and like directing people that you know and are comfortable with?
Oh yeah, that was. I mean, I'd never directed before, so I can't really compare another situation in directing. But most of the people in it,
you're close with. Or
yeah, most of them I did. Yeah, I've known for quite a while. But I mean, even Mo, I only met Mo. Well, we were. I had a small part in a film called Den of Thieves.
Hey, Pablo's in that.
Yeah, Pablo's in that. Yeah,
he was hot for a minute.
Yeah,
that guy was
he's a good dude, man. I like him. He's a good guy. But he, you know, Mo's in that film as well. That's where we first met, but we didn't really get to know each other until like a month out of shooting this thing. But we got really close. Like, we were talking every day, working out together, building that rapport and kind of all that. But then, some of the actors and actresses, like, I hadn't met before in person really until their first day on set. You know what I mean? and they're so seasoned and so experienced.
Yeah.
I felt more intimidated talking to them at times.
Okay.
I'm like, who am I? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, I know this story really well and this community, but I'm not this is my first time doing it. And they knew that, they know that I'm green in that way, but they were all not only respectful, but just like, what can I do different? Like, this is what I was thinking, but what do you think? And, which was really comforting to know that they not only brought something to, because any good actor is going to bring something to it, an idea. But from what I've heard, sometimes actors are like, no, I'm doing it this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What was the word we used with Chris Reed? Cooperation. You always get the best when you cooperate.
Yeah.
When the director and the actor, you're cooperating. And you said something that would disarm me as an actor. If I'm working for you and I'm telling your story, and you say, and I'm running the lines, and you go, just tell your story. Like that, you're going to get the best out of any actor. If it's not like Aaron Sorkin's note for note, and there are people that can deliver that way.
But they're better writers than me too. I mean, you know what I mean?
Listen, I watched it sober as a judge this morning, and I came out of it impressed. I was expecting, nothing hit me where I'm like, fuck this. You know what I mean?
Well, watch it again. Maybe it will the second time.
It was great. I'm telling you,
appreciate it.
The
Thank you.
DP did a good
The
job.
DP is amazing. I'm gonna give him a quick shout out. His name's Logan Fulton. I met Logan. I co-created and hosted a NFL Network series for 2 years in 18 and I guess it came out in 19 and 20. We shot it in 18 and 19 though. Before COVID killed that show, like it killed a lot of things and people. But it was like an Anthony Bourdain style, go to an NFL city. The city's the main character, learn about how football helps the community and people, current players, former players, community leaders, like sitting down, having a beer, having some food, talking and all that. And Logan was a DP for that. And then I found out, and he was young, like the first season we were shooting, I think he turned 24 on set.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But then I found out he shot the Rodman doc and he'd already shot, this was his, MVP was his 4th or 5th feature.
Okay.
So like he'd done, and now I think he's 27 now, maybe 28. I mean, still young.
At 27.
Yeah.
Man,
But when he shot this, he was, I think he was 25 when we went to camera, maybe 26. And not only the experience, he just has an incredible eye. We have a really good rapport. Like he just understands what I want and, quickly. And I remember one night we went up that, I don't know if you remember this conversation with Jim, the Dan Lauria plays the character up on the rooftop. He's asking about, when's the last time I saw my mom and all that stuff.
Go home.
It's at night. And I wanted this in the background between us. I wanted this sign, this Los Burritos down on Sunset.
I love it, dude.
Between us. And the way I explained it before they went up, because we just finished something downstairs, I guess I didn't make that clear. And they were shooting the other way. And I went up there and I was like, I knew we were crushed on time and the crew's been up there lighting it and setting it up. And I was like, that was the only time where I was like, Logan, this is completely wrong. This is just bad. Like I want it shooting that way and blah, blah, blah. And, he took a breath and was like, all right, like, well, just I need like an hour, but we'll fix it.
Yeah.
And just make sure you guys are ready to go because I know we're up against it right now. We got an early morning tomorrow and all those things that happen.
You're always up against it.
Yeah.
There's never enough time, never enough money.
We were going to shoot it just in a one-er, just a 2-shot, at the whole scene. And we did that. And we got through it so quick, like the first take or second take, we were done with that. And I was like, all right, let's shoot. We got time. Let's just, come on. Let's get coverage. Let's get it.
More. The only movie where you have enough time in the world and budget is Maverick, with starring Tom Cruise. You could just shoot it for 15 years and fly a helicopter. You can commute there in a helicopter.
Yeah.
One of my buddies in that movie goes, dude, it's the amount of money they spent on that.
Oh, we didn't have 200 million, unfortunately.
I know. Well, dude, here's another funny thing. Like, I'm obsessed with the old television show Columbo.
Oh yeah,
and I love Peter Falk.
Peter Falk's a legend.
But the thing
is he still alive? Did he pass?
He did pass.
I think he passed. Yeah.
And the glass eyes from Long Island.
Dude,
He's this frumpy
stud.
guy. But I watched one this morning, and I watched it because I watched your movie. And when you watch Columbo, they show L.A., man. The old L.A. And that is I don't know if you did it on purpose.
Oh yeah,
it's charming.
Well, it's L.A. just like in that show Indivisible I was talking about. I told Logan at the beginning, we had this conversation. I'm like, LA is a main character in this.
Loved it.
Because part of it's like, from the veteran side, when would you ever think of telling a story about a veteran in Hollywood?
Right.
Like it's always going to be in small town Iowa or something.
Yeah,
you know, and there's nothing
story.
wrong with that, but like that's the kind
I
of
loved
the
it, dude.
standard deal. And I was like, let's shoot it here, let's set it here. But also with everything going on right now, you know, with the amount of the homelessness and that like shining a little bit of light, or at least seeing that, because this guy's living in a shelter, but that's not just veterans. There's a lot of people. So we're shooting those scenes in Skid Row when he's running downtown. And
Yeah.
Where was the theater? First of all, I love the relationship you have with the girl, because your character Z is just so fucking close up. I mean, tighter than a fucking dog's ass. I mean, it's fucking guy is tight. You know, when he farts, only dogs hear it. I fucking loved it. But when you go to that movie theater, was that the one on Hollywood Boulevard, the Emperor?
That's in the American Legion as well.
Get dude, it's a date. I'm going to the American Legion with you.
Beautiful.
Before Christmas, we're going.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah, I couldn't. I'm like looking at that place, and I'm going, because there's what's the one on Hollywood? It's a tinier theater. It's at the Emperor Theater. It's on the south side of the street of Hollywood Boulevard.
Egyptian, maybe?
The Egyptian.
Yeah.
So I'm going, I'm going to get this guy. It's the Egyptian. But I'm like, I don't think it is the Egyptian. That was the one
it's in the Legion. They just remodeled it. I mean, they kept it classic. You know, there's a lot of it's still the same, but they just remodeled it. It's huge. It's like 480 seats or something. I mean, it's an epic place. But that whole building is iconic. I mean, we say that in the movie, but it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, the original Legion members were elite Hollywood actors, you know, around World War II. It's crazy.
Hey, so there's pictures of, and by the way, who's the genius that decided to call the movie MVP? Because let me let you know this. I can't remember where I was yesterday. She told me the name of the movie was MVP. I found it in 2 seconds on Amazon. That is really good marketing. Did you decide that, or did the producer? Because it's very smart.
We that was always the working title, because that's what it's about. But we just were like, I don't know. I remember talking to Braden and talking to some of the other producers on it, and there was other thoughts and ideas, because that even the character named Zephyr came in later. Originally, it was based. So the backstory of this guy is based on 2 of our MVP members who are now national staff members, and one of those guys we originally had named that character after him, but it's not just his story. It's so many people's stories. And so we were like, well, let's come up with something different. And his name was also, he has an interesting name. And so I was like, we want to find an interesting, unique name. And then I thought of Zephyr. And it turns out it literally means soft, gentle breeze.
Yeah, and
I
love
opposite
your
of
mom's
person.
a hippie.
Yeah.
And I love that you're embarrassed to say it to the chick, so you say you're Z. I mean, all of these subtle things, dude. I don't know if you did them on purpose, or it was just natural, great, charming things.
Well, yeah, obviously natural, great, charming things.
Yeah,
Like, come on.
Because I do fancy myself a pretty good critic. Like, I watch, weird artsy stuff like The Lobster and Sexy Beast, but then I also binge watch Sons of Anarchy. I love excess calories.
Right.
There's nothing like, life is hard enough for this guy. I need some escape. People are like, like reality shows? Fuck that. My life's a reality show.
Right.
I want to go see some shit blow up. Like, but I see everything. I was really, really, really impressed.
I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Is there any other names that we need to know? Because then I got to talk to you about Kaepernick. And then I won't keep you long.
No, you're good. You're good. So yeah, I mean, beyond that, like, I mean, just to have Randy Couture, who's he's a veteran and also a 6-time UFC champ. And he's on our board at MVP. He's like one of those members. Obviously, to have Jay. I mean, Jay, like you said, everybody knows him. But he also just opened so many doors. I mean, we filmed in his gym. We filmed at his house. That's supposed to be somebody else's house, but everyone's still like, that's Jay's house, right? And I'm like, yeah, it is. Yeah, with the cigars. And then, Jarrod Bunch, who's in that scene as well. First round draft pick by the Giants, played 4 years in the league, and then, derailed to injuries, and for him to move forward, real tough. Dina Shihabi, who plays, that's the Zephyr's love interest. She's incredible. She was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for the Critics' Choice Awards in Jack Ryan season 1. You know, I mean, like
that's
all
right.
these people.
I knew I read. I was recognized. I was on IMDb, like sniffing around.
Yeah, but I mean, sniffing around. And then, like I said, Dan Lauria, Dad on the Wonder Years. It's played Lombardi on Broadway. You know what I mean?
He does look like Lombardi.
It's endless. It's endless. But but the coolest part of it, I said it before, but to me was the crew was mostly veterans. The only department head that wasn't a vet, and this was pointed out to me by Logan, the DP, was Logan. He's the only department head that was not a veteran. So many of the crew, and obviously every cast member is played by a real vet, and most of them are real members of MVP. Like,
they're all great, man.
It was cool. So,
and another thing about Jay Glazer is I'm a huge Philadelphia sports fan, all the 4 major sports, but he did a special on Fox with Lane Johnson.
Yeah, Lane's a good guy,
and it was pretty brave that he said he had some mental issues of anxiety and depression, and Lane did too, and I have to think that just admitting it and saying it out loud has got to be 50% of the battle.
I think so. I believe that. We believe that at MVP, because that's really what we stress is like, just talk. Let's just talk about it. Let's just get it out. You put it out in the atmosphere. People are going to hear you. People are going to, especially in our community, are going to rally around you. But more than that, if you're just courageous enough to just say, I need help, because that's one thing banged into our heads, especially as men. It's like, no, you got to do. You don't need help. Do it. Don't ask for directions. You know what I mean? Just tough it out. Tough it out.
Nate, I cried 3 times during the movie. I mean, I'm very sensitive. I'm a Taurus, and I'm going to the Legion with you.
Not with that necklace, you're not.
We brought it up.
No, but we appreciate it. I mean, but you're exactly right. Like, Lane is one of those people, man. It's becoming more common amongst these elite athletes to say that. Everybody feels that at times. It's normal, normalizing that, and then not saying like, I'm just going to be okay living like this and feeling this way, and like I'm not just going to settle for that. I want to work myself out of it, but the first step in anything, is admitting there's an issue there, and then working towards it and trying to solve it and trying to figure it out. And there's no reason to ever try to do that alone. And that's what
most
MVP is
people
all
are
about.
supportive, especially in 2022.
Yeah.
If you say, I feel this way, I have a problem, I would say 95% of your friends want to help you. They're not going to bust your balls. You know what I mean? They're going to try to.
And it doesn't go away, man. The more you just sit on it and hold it in, it just eats you from the inside out. Eats you alive, dude.
Not
it's a
good.
mess. No.
All right. So I'm going to leave you with this because I don't want to keep you. I mean, we are flying through it. Let me get this straight about Colin Kaepernick. So, and you can correct me when I'm wrong, because I'm going to give you what I think the truth was, and then I'm going to tell you all the fucking fibs that I think are bullshit, but I don't know. First of all, the guy played under Jim Harbaugh for San Francisco 49ers and made it to the Super Bowl, which is astonishing.
In his first year starting.
Right.
And he came in mid-season.
It's astonishing, right? He wants to do, and I want to make sure I'm going to do Stephen A. Smith. I want to make sure this is perfectly clear. He wants to do a peaceful protest against police brutality. Am I right or wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to offend anybody, and he confides in you because you had a relationship and said, this is what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think is the best version of a peaceful protest so that I can get my message across without offending people? Am I right so far?
Mostly. Let me just interject real quick. So he's sitting on the bench, right? He'd already been protesting.
Yeah,
2 games, maybe 3.
Okay. But no one had noticed, right? Or
no one had noticed until the one before, like the week before I met him.
Okay.
The week before I met him, there was a reporter in San Francisco noticed, asked him, is there a reason you're sitting? And he said, yeah, there is. I'm not going to stand for a flag that oppresses black people and people of color, is what he said. Then he explained further. That was taken out of context, first of all, and there wasn't a further explanation of what he's actually protesting, which was police brutality, law enforcement officers not being held accountable, or I guess law enforcement agencies not holding their officers accountable when they do wrongful things. They're put on administrative paid leave often, and it was like not a great look. I'm not gonna lie, I agree. And most officers that I know a lot of people in law enforcement, they hate seeing that shit. Just like
Of course.
there's plenty of dirtbags in the military or people that in a situation made a critically wrong decision and need to pay the consequences. Like
Right.
it's a responsibility. You are doing that job, taking on that responsibility, like volunteering, enlisting to do that. There's a lot that comes with that, including repercussions when you do wrong. And so I heard this interview. Obviously it caught fire, him sitting once it was out why he was doing it. It's in the middle of the Hillary Trump election. I mean, Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny if they got married? Wouldn't that be cute?
There's fucking email. God.
But I mean, so it's the middle of that. It's already divisive times.
Yeah, big
and,
time.
I got hit up from CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, all of them asking if I would come on and do an interview or go on and debate is what they wanted me to do. Go on and like debate why he's right or why he's wrong and blah, 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 blah. Because, Nate was in the military and he played football. He must be the authority on the, what to do during the anthem. You know what I mean? At a football game. And I didn't want to do that because not obviously, but I personally, I don't have a side in the matter. It wasn't a side thing to take. Right. It was like, I feel a certain way about the anthem, the flag, because of my relationship with them. And I have a lot of pride in those things. I mean, I carried my best friend who's in a casket draped in an American flag. And so like, that means something very sacred to me, special to me. When I hear the anthem, the one game I was on the sideline for with the Seahawks when the anthem played, I cried when it played because it was just an emotional moment for me. And I grew up a Niner fan, and I have a Kaepernick signed football in my parents' house that says, "God bless our troops" on it. You know what I mean? Like all these things.
Right.
Wow.
And so what I ended up doing is writing an open letter to the Army Times. Cap read it as well as a lot of other people and was inspired to reach out from it. So he reached out and said, would you come meet me down before the next, their final preseason game that year. He's starting that game. It's Military Appreciation Night because we're approaching 9/11. This is in 2016. And I said, yeah. So I went from LA down to San Diego, met with him. And that's, where you're at now is pretty much correct. Like he had this conversation. He said, look, I don't want to offend people in the military. Is there a different way you think I can protest? And I was like, no matter what you do, some people are going to be offended. In my opinion, and I don't speak for the military or the veteran community, but I think sitting on the bench isolated by yourself isn't the most inspiring thing. I feel like you should be alongside your teammates. Mm-hmm. And Colin was like, well, I'm not going to stand. I've committed to not standing until things change. I'm not going to do that. And I was like, well, what if you took a knee? And he thought it was actually more powerful. Eric Reed joined us at that meeting. And him and Eric took a knee that night. We'd actually discussed, me kneeling with them. And I honestly thought about it because I wanted to show that I was supporting them. But it was just such a tough thing for me to get past and think about Brad Keys, the guy that passed away, for instance, the casket I carried, and so many others that it meant a great deal. A buddy of mine texted me that had just left the tarmac up in JBLM in Fort Lewis in Washington. And one of our guys from 1st Special Forces Group, his casket was, taken off the plane, and he was standing next to his wife, and he's like, I'm just thinking about all these things, and I'm like, I just can't do this. I don't know if you remember later that year when the Steelers, maybe it was the next year, but the Steelers were going to stay in the locker room during the anthem. And then Andrew Villanueva, their left tackle, who went to West Point, he came out of the tunnel during the anthem, even though he wasn't supposed to, kind of went against what Coach Tomlin had said. But he was like, I was getting texts from Rangers like, you better be out there.
It's a brotherhood.
And it's a brotherhood. So it's like, I felt like that similar situation. It was like, I can't do that. And I texted them and said I'll stand next to you. And so that's what I did. I stood next to him.
But for the record, kneeling or even genuflecting is kind of a sacred position anyway. It's not like he was giving the finger or
agreed.
It was kind of like for me, I thought it was like he was just showing a different type of reverence.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And
It was a respect.
But then
to
Trump
me.
fucked it all up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he did fuck it all up,
Yeah.
dude. He was like, he hates the military. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I mean, not only did he never say that, he actually said the opposite of that in an interview long before he took a knee. At least a week before, saying, "I've got a great respect for men and women in the military." One of his best friends, I believe, was a SEAL and was, stationed at Coronado, across the water from where we were sitting in that hotel, and that stuff mattered to him. And so, granted, not everything that Colin Kaepernick has said and done I agree with, and I guarantee not everything I've said and done he agrees with.
Sure.
But that's okay. We don't have to agree on everything.
That's America, man. That's
Yeah.
a good thing. You can still be friends.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where we got to
Exactly.
steer into that, people.
Do you
Yeah.
guys still have a friendship?
No, I mean, we're not enemies, I hope.
Yeah.
But we haven't. No, I haven't spoken to him for quite some time. Through the rest of that season, we stayed in touch, and then just kind of went, different ways or whatever. But not on bad terms or
Yeah.
anything like that. And it's just one of those things that I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about not only that day, but just about him, and beyond. Moving forward, a lot of misunderstandings about that, and then just the media changing the narrative, telling the story. I mean, he's I know he's doing, and I'm not a part of it, so I'm not sure what the story it's gonna tell essentially, but I know he's working on a documentary with Spike Lee right now, telling it in his words, his way. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that's important. I think he should.
It is important.
So yeah, interesting stuff for sure. It will forever be, I guess, probably debated at some level. I don't know if it will forever. Maybe not. Maybe at some point we'll kind of
Let's
let
get
that
out
go.
of this year. We're the United States of America, not the divisive states of America.
Very
We're
true.
allowed to disagree,
True.
but in my opinion, and I get yelled at for all the time, I think we're the best country in the world.
We are the best
We're not
country
the
in the
best
world.
country in the world. Your education's, you know what? I love it here.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
No, I mean, there's a reason a lot of people want to be here. We are, in a lot of ways, there's always an argument to everything, but in a lot of ways, we are the most diverse country in the world. We really are. Diversity of thought, belief, you can speak it, you can say anything. We're not perfect for sure. We have a lot to work on. And our history is not perfect for sure.
Yeah, but we can't be judged for that because it was a different time. We are more evolved people now.
I agree, but I think we still can be judged as long as we are working to not only correct that, change that, and evolve, like you just mentioned.
Yes.
It's okay. It's okay. What the other things that we stand for, beyond that, are inspiring things to a lot of people in a lot of parts of the world.
For
that
sure.
don't have it. I mean, we are a beacon of hope to a lot of people.
And what's the most important thing about history? There's two things about it. One is not to repeat,
The bad history,
and two is to learn from it.
right?
We can't just erase it. You have to remember it. You have to feel that so that if you're inclined to make the wrong decision again, you go, wait a second. There was a guy named Hitler. He liked dogs too. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't think that way. You got to remember that and go, fuck, I'm thinking the wrong way here. Somebody thought this way. It's not correct. I'm more evolved. I want to be enlightened. I want to be inspired. I want to love and laugh. I want to get rid of hate, and I want to get rid of divisiveness and separating, and you want to be together. That's why I got into music, harmony. We can all be together.
Yeah, yeah.
Nate, where can we watch MVP?
You can watch MVP on currently on Amazon Prime, on Apple TV, pretty much anywhere a video on demand is available. It is out there. So I encourage everybody to go watch it, experience it, share about it, review it. Even if you don't like it, just tell the truth. That's what we try to do. And as far as Emerging Vets and Players, the organization, go to vetsandplayers.org. And if you know veterans or athletes, former professional athletes in your community, this organization would resonate with, tell them about it, share it with them too. Because we're continuing to grow and build. We're coming up on our 7th anniversary, and we've got 8 chapters around the country, but we want to be everywhere, and we'll get there, but we need help.
That's great, man. I'm really happy for you. I thought
Thank
the
you
movie
so
was
much.
great, dude. I wish you nothing but continued success and I want to make sure this is documented that on your next film, my name is Tim Bader. That's my IMDb .com name. But I also have to say this. I have to in closing, because first of all, I'm a degenerate on betting racehorses. I love horses beyond comprehension. It's an illness, but I'm watching you, and I go, oh my God, this guy's grooming. I love horses. He's grooming them, feeding them, and riding them. And I go, as I'm looking at this guy, I'm looking at Nate right now. He's got a beard. He's riding horses. I go, this guy could be on Yellowstone. Do we know Taylor Sheridan? Because your ass could be on that fucking show.
No, I don't know him. I actually read for it like 3 years ago.
I did too.
Didn't get the part.
Wait, what part?
I don't even remember.
Like
honestly,
I read some asshole they lock up because I put my cattle guards down. They beat the shit out of me. That's always the part that I get. Just you could just remember.
No, I mean, I was actually shooting something in September or August, I guess. So I missed out on an opportunity for Lioness, one of the new Taylor Sheridan shows.
Oh, dude,
but there's so many out there right now.
I love them all.
Stallone's Tulsa King now.
I'm dying to see it, but it's got to see. I have Paramount Network.
Yeah.
With Dish because I still fucking channel surf because I'm ancient, and I don't want to pay $9.95. My cable bills are astonishing. I have to tell you this story before you leave too. Just
super important to wrap this up with your cable bills.
Oh no, hold please, because my 93-year-old father, who has all my passwords, can only activate them through his remote, where you can just say what you want to watch. So every month, my bill, I spend $2.99 on the original John Wick because he buys it. He's John Wick. It costs me $2.99. He watches like half of it. Channel surfs, watches the fucking news, and then he watches more John Wick. I go, Dad, did you watch this fucking movie 15 times? It cost me like fucking $30, dude. I'm like, I'll send you a Blu-ray.
That's funny. Speaking of horses, real quick. And racehorses, particularly. My dad is a retired racehorse veterinarian. So, yeah.
Whoa, same last name? Boyer?
Yeah.
What track?
Golden Gate Fields.
Oh, because you're from Pleasanton too, and they have Pleasanton. they have.
The fairgrounds near there.
Yeah. Dude, that's fantastic. Did you have any tips?
Don't gamble on horse racing.
You out here, oh, please. Hey, a year ago from last August, I'm at Barney's Beanery. I risk $190 at Del Mar Racecourse.
He says risk. I don't.
I risk.
I don't gamble. I risk.
I risk, and I won $190,000. That's a score, and I've won $500,000 at Hollywood Park.
No joke.
Oh my God!
Serious.
Now, the interesting thing I would love to talk to your father about is when I first got into horse racing, I got to let this guy go. Ted West and the West family were trainers, and Ted would let me look at horses and would tell me who looked the most sound. So if I look at the track and there's a 45-1 shot that's sound, I have no fear. I will pound them. You know what I mean? Because they're banged up just like football players.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? They got dings, and then sometimes they get a 3-week layoff. And they're feeling fresh, dude. The ears are pricked, the head's down. It's like LeBron throwing up the fucking sauce. And I'm just like,
if you want to see a sport, Barney's Beanery in the afternoon, watching him bet horses is like
that's great.
The most entertaining
hold on,
thing you'll ever
I'll make a
see.
deal. Hold, please.
Yeah.
I'll make a deal. Zany Juice. That's the all-time. I'm gonna send him that video. If you take me to Legion, I'll take you to my luxury box in Del Mar.
All right. Deal.
That's a deal.
That's a done deal.
All right.
The funny thing about what you're talking about there, and you just remembering those wins,
True.
in professional sports and in the veterans, the military, you talk to these guys, all they remember is what they didn't do, what the losses. That's all they. In gambling, you only remember the wins.
Well, that's the difference between a gambler and
a risker.
Yeah. If I'm thinking about the losses, I have no conscience on the losses. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I look at my Bank of America, it's like minus 5,700, and I'm just like, what happened here? By the way, I answer every Bank of America survey like, you're the best bank ever, patient, very accommodating, fucking cool colors, America's in your name. Like, every time they ask me to take a survey, I'll take an hour survey on the phone, dude. Yeah, but that's the other thing. Like, the worst thing that ever happened, I've got to keep going. I did not gamble for 9 months, and I only bet sports. I'm going to make this quick. Michael Silber takes me to Hollywood Park on a Friday when I'm broke here in Hollywood, like 99, 2000. He hands me a $200 ticket on the 5-horse. Kent DeSomo was the one running. Ted West was a trainer. I go, Mike, I don't gamble anymore. I just retired. He goes, well, then you can cash the ticket. Just keep the $200. This horse is winning. Well, I'm fucking hang on to it. Top of the stretch, Kent cha-ching bada bing DeSomo blasts off. That 200 is like $1,260, which to me at that point is like finding magic beans.
All over.
And then I was done. I've been chasing dragons forever. But I have to say, the late, great Norm Macdonald, these beers are hitting me. The late, great Norm Macdonald said, hey, gambling's the only vice that can make you fabulously rich. Take that, crack cocaine. That's name drop. Nate Boyer, MVP, Amazon. Go get it. This guy's great.
Appreciate you. Thanks.
I love how